Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation where I'm really excited to be introducing a brand new method we have for you. And this is new trading strategy number 2. I've been working on this method for a very long time now with Pro Trader Strategies, and we feel we finally got a product that we feel comfortable introducing to the public, but most especially something that we really feel has a high level of consistency and will really be able to help you trade. Now, the reason why we held off for so long in introducing strategy number 2 to the public is because the method, when it was first put together, generated some highly consistent setups and signals. The only trouble was it generated a lot, and oftentimes it would go into this large drawdown where the signals weren't very valid. For example, let's take a look at this chart here in Apple. All right, this is going to the beginning of the year, and these were all strategy number 2 setups being generated, and as you can see, they were going short, and then look what happened. They weren't very valid, and they would have worked against you. Now, as it appears, when the market went up, the strategy now started to generate buy signals, and these worked out fairly well, as you can see, but look at the amount of signals being generated, okay? A little bit too much for my liking, but it has been working. You were able to probably make back some of the losses, but had you taken some of these setups that were up here at these levels, well, look what happened. As the market went even lower and lower, more and more signals were being generated. So because of this, we put together a really fine-tuned edge that was able to filter out a lot of these setups and have you only trading the strongest markets. And the beauty of this is that it's one click away on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform, that actually teaches you how to trade. Whoops, excuse me right here. Let me go back. I think I may have logged off onto the presentation. There we go. Okay, so as we begin today's educational presentation, I want to welcome you once again. My name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for a total of 46 years. I started trading my trading career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. A specialist, if you're not familiar with what a specialist is or does, it doesn't mean you're any more special than anyone else. It just means that you specialized in making a market, roughly in about 50 or 60 stocks. So I made markets in IBM, Waste Management, US Air. I made markets during the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed. I've traded straight up markets, straight down markets, sideways markets. So in my 46 years experience of trading, I know what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't work. So that's why I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies about 13 years ago, and we formulated and developed Specialist Trading with one goal in mind, and that was simply to educate traders. So we are first and foremost an educational company. You see, it's our opinion that that's what's missing from most traders' experience. Most traders like to basically follow someone, either someone in a chat room or someone on TV or someone in a blog, and have them decide what or how they should trade. If that works so well, then ask yourself, then why do 85% of all traders fail? Now, trust me, I was taught the same way when I first started trading. I was supposed to take my setups from some guy who was a master trader, or listen to some guy on TV, or listen to the newsletters, but it didn't work for me either. So that's why we formed Specialist Trading, where all we do is educate you and teach you high probability trading techniques, methods, and strategies so that you can ultimately put the power in your hands and make your own trading decisions. Okay, so this is what the services that what we provide, and this is what taught me and has actually sustained me now going on 46 years, and hopefully it will be able to do the same for you. Now, before we begin, as always, please ask that you take a moment to review our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results today applying strategy number 2, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, please remember that all examples, since we are an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, as I stated, I first started trading 46 years ago, and I probably started out like most of you. Excuse me, I would listen to people. We didn't have chat rooms or trading rooms then. We didn't even have the internet, but we had newsletters. We had guys on TV, and we had economic news coming out and earnings. And trust me, it couldn't make me a dime, even though I was on the trading floor and had access to computers and a large amount of money to trade with. It really didn't help me. So this is where I really saw that I was struggling, and I was lucky enough to have some mentors on the floor that were specialists themselves who turned my trading around. and they taught me how to be consistent, and this is what has sustained me. So hopefully I'll be able to do the same for you. And this is what we're going to be trying to instill in all of our methods and all of our teachings, okay? Now, before we go on with today's educational presentation, just a few announcements. This is being recorded. If you have to leave early or if you are having technical issues, don't worry. Each and every one of you will get a link to this recording so you can watch it at your own leisure. Also, if you have any questions, I'm sure you may, please wait till the end of today's class to ask them. I promise I'll get to each and every one of them. This won't be a real long class today, just to introduce strategy number 2. So we'll reserve the last portion of the educational webinar today for any questions, okay? So kindly wait till the end of today's class. Okay, with that stated, let's begin. And we're going to be talking about strategy number 2. Now, as I said earlier, we've been working on strategy number 2 for months, if not years, because we really wanted to fine tune it to make it accessible to the public. We didn't feel right in providing it to our students and to our members around the world, and we didn't feel as it was consistent enough for you to trade. But we were able to change and edit the rules a little bit. In fact, we made them a lot simpler. On top of that, we applied a very high probability proprietary tool that is able to filter out a lot of the inconsistency in it. And for this reason, we really felt that this was able to turn things around. And this is why we're happy to announce now that we're finally able to introduce strategy number 2. So let me give you some of the highlights of this particular method. As we said, it's a brand new, entirely new strategy. Now, it's designed to generate signals in only the strongest of markets. This is what this high probability filter does. Now, it applies this filtering process to all the setups in any market, any time frame, any direction. And because we had to edit the rules a little bit and change things to simplify, and because we discovered this proprietary filter, we're keeping it in-house. This is a proprietary strategy. This is something that basically what you're going to be learning is the most important thing on how actually to trade it. Now, it's designed to trade quick 5 to 10 bar trades. So in other words, you're not going to be tying up your money a lot. And one thing we did notice with this new filtering process is that many of these trades will often get to brand new closing highs if you're long and brand new closing lows if you're short. And these are 10-day usually or 10 bar closing highs or 10 bar closing lows. So think about it. That's a great edge to have, to know if you take a signal, there's a high probability, there's a big chance that sooner or later that particular setup will be at a new 10 bar closing high or a new 10 bar closing low. Now, because of the shortness and the amount and the length of being able to get to these levels, you can apply this to option trading, okay? You're not going to be tying up your money for a long time, and it's ideal for those short, quick option trades you like to be involved in if you're an option trader. Now, I'm going to be teaching in the course an aggressive as well as a conservative version. So many traders like to trade aggressively. They want to get right in right away and get out. They like to trade a number of setups. And then we also have other traders who are more conservative, that like less risk, that don't mind holding the trade a little bit longer. So we're going to show you all these different things in the course. Now, I know this is a really highly consistent method. We've been testing it for a while, but remember, the specialist edge is consistency. I know a lot of you think that consistency means that each and every setup is a winner. That's actually not what consistency means. Consistency is an awareness of losses. There will be losses from time to time, but a consistent method, as we always say, is one that's able to recoup those losses. You see, that's what you want in any method, regardless of one of mine or someone else's or yours that you've put together. You want a method that you'll know will be able to recoup those losses. Because every method, it doesn't matter what it is, will go into some type of loss for a time being, all right? And what you want to do is have a method that's able to recoup those. So you have a 2-step forward, 1-step back approach. This is what we mean by consistency. All right, so let me share with you what the setups looked like when we were working on months ago without the filter that we just have access to now. All right, here's that chart we looked at earlier in Apple, okay? We originally had some sell signals, and all of a sudden they turned into a bunch of buys. And even though we could have made back what we lost on those sell signals, all of a sudden, when the market started going down, we continue to buy. So depending upon where you enter into this trade, it's a little bit too noisy. There's too much going on, too many signals, and it's not that consistent. Now let's look at the exact same chart with the filter applied. And now we see that we've cut down the amount of trades tremendously. And look at how now we have only the trades that have that consistent move to the upside, okay? As we see here, had you taken this signal and held it on for as long as possible to this brand new closing high here, you could have potentially made upwards of 15 points. But each one of these setups was able to eventually, in the next 5 to 10 bars, have a new closing high on a 10-bar basis. Let's look at strategy 2 without a filter. Here's another setup, okay? This is in ZS, all right? We're looking at a number of setups. Once again, some appeared better than others, okay? We have a nice buy signal here and made a new high. We have a couple of 2 or 3 here that made a new closing high 5, 10 bars later. But now we get into this area where it's a lot of whipsaw. It's buy, it's sell, buy or sell. And this is what we saw through months of testing, that it would go in and out of these really nice areas to now into these whipsaw areas. That's why we didn't want to introduce it. It wasn't until we applied this filter that we discovered, as we move on here, with the filter, I should say. And now we see that we only took these buy setups that eventually made new 10-bar highs, and we only would have taken this sell setup, which eventually made a new 10-bar low. So on the upside, had you taken the first setup, you could have potentially made 20 points. On the downside, you could have potentially made 15 points. And you see how all of the noise right around here had been deleted and taken care of. So this is the beauty of this method. This is why we're keeping it in-house, because we feel it's far too valuable to really expose. We don't want to get it out there into the public, because we know that a lot of our methods and techniques, I won't mention them right now, have been stolen already. And we don't want to offer this to more people and see someone else, a vendor, selling it on another website. So the beauty of strategy number 2 is not in knowing what the filter is and the rules. It's in knowing actually how to trade it and which are the best setups, even when the filter is applied. And we'll teach you all of this within the course. So by applying the proprietary filter to the trading requirements, we now have developed an extremely consistent trading strategy. So let's look at some strategy number 2 examples that happened within the last month or two, some what happened within the last couple of days. And I'm going to be showing you the before and after slides, okay? All right, here's an example now as we take a look at Amazon. This was in the beginning of the year. We see how we had a sell, okay, a buy, a sell, a buy, another buy. We're kind of going back and forth, not that consistent. But once we apply the filter, we see that we only kept the buy setups, and ultimately you could have potentially made 20 points. You see how, had you taken this setup, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, it made a brand new closing high, okay? Even on this one, 1, 2, 3 days later, it made a brand new 10-bar closing high. Let's look at this example in Amgen, all right? Once again, we have a buy signal that was terrible. It wouldn't have worked out at all. We have a sell signal that looks pretty good, but then you would have covered it and gone long and had a losing trade. And now another sell signal. So what do? Well, once we applied the filter, we see now that all of these have been erased and we only have a sell signal. Now someone's saying, but Steve, look at, how can you go short? This has already fallen out of bed. Well, even had you taken this filtered signal, you could have potentially captured upwards of 27 points to the downside. And right here, in 1 day, you made a new 10-bar closing low. In 1, 2, 3, 4 days, you made a new 10-bar closing low. 1, 2, 3, 4 more days, a new 10-bar closing low. And 1, 2, 3 days, a new 10-bar closing low. This is the beauty of strategy 2, as we've made it a lot more consistent. Here's an example in PANW. Once again, do you see how you would have gotten whipsawed here? You would have had one buy, but look at the sells, and you would have lost a lot of money. And why would you want to take advantage of these 2 buy signals, not knowing if they're going to be consistent or not? That's where the beauty of the filter that's already pre-programmed into the strategy would help, because now it deleted all these strategy setups that we had previously and only generated these 2 buy signals. Once again, had you taken this buy signal, 1, 2, 3 days, it has a new closing low. And then right here, had you taken this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 days, you had a new closing high, I should say, and so on. You see that all, and going forward and forward, it's only in the strongest of markets. And usually in anywhere from 5 to 10 bars, you'll see a big chance of it closing on a brand new 10-bar high. Now, which trade would you have taken here in Schwab? Okay, this was just a month or so ago, or not even a month or so, a couple of weeks ago. Which trade would you have taken, the sell ones or the buy ones? There's no real way to tell here. But once we add the proprietary filter, we only would have taken this sell signal, okay? There's no other choices just other than that. And we all know what happened. The stock fell 33 points coming into this last week, okay? And once again, none of our methods or techniques take any news, fundamental announcements, or economic indicators into account. Everything is based on market behavior. Now, there are different aspects of market behavior, and we try to explore each and every one with our different methods. With this particular method, it does the same thing, though. With its particular aspects, what it's looking at and what it's based off of, it's only looking at market behavior and nothing else. And it's funny how it knew a full week or so in advance prior to the banking crisis coming out and what happened last week to go short, to sell. Here's an example in SGEN, all right? We have a sell and then a buy. Which one are you going to take? Because nothing has really happened yet. Well, once again, this is a perfect example of how oftentimes, if you're basing your decision off of market behavior, you are often ahead of any fundamental news. Now, this happened just a couple of weeks ago at the end of February, and as we see, it gapped up. So that's a nice trade you could have had. Now, depending on what type of trader you were, aggressive or conservative, and how much risk you were giving yourself, you had another buy setup right here with the filter applied, and look what happened. So potentially you could have captured 40 points, and I believe the reason why this is gapped up twice is because there was buyout rumors or maybe even some buyout announcement. I personally don't know because I don't look at the news, but this is what I was told, and that's why it had gapped up based off that news. Once again, interesting how days before it gapped up, strategy 2 was generating buy signals. All right, once again, we have a series of buy here in Netflix. This was just about a month ago, and all of them would have been losses. And then we have one sell. So what makes us so confident to take this? How do we know that this didn't bottom out and it's going to go right back up? Well, with the pre-filtered arrangement now that we have within strategy number 2, we're only going to take that sell signal. Once again, most students would look at this and say, why would I take a sell signal when the stock has fallen roughly from 360 down to close to 300? Well, because you still could have potentially captured an extra 35 points. Remember, had you gone short or bought the puts right here, 1, 2, 3 days later, it made a new 10-bar closing low. Had you gone short here, 1, 2 days later, it made a new 10-bar closing low, and then taken this one, 1 day later, it made a new 10-bar closing low. So this is the beauty of this strategy, and by applying this proprietary process, it really gives you these high probability setups in only the strongest of markets. Let's look at ALGN. Well, we have a couple of sell signals that didn't really work out too well and a number of buy ones. Which ones are we going to take? Then remember, this is the old process which didn't have our proprietary filter applied. Once we applied it, we see that we only would have taken these 2 signals, and ultimately you could have captured 158 points, or if you wanted to stay in only for 5 to 10 bars, you still would have had some nice profits on each one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars later, a new closing high. On this one, 1 bar later, a new closing high. On this one, 2 bars later, a new closing high. Okay. Now we know that everyone is not a stock trader. Other traders like to trade other markets. They want to trade other time frames. So let's look at some examples in other markets. Here's a 4-hour chart of the British pound. Once again, just going back about a month ago. Using the previous form of strategy number 2, we had a big whipsaw here, excuse me, selling and then buying, and then another sell signal. Which one is the right one to take? Well, once we altered the strategy number 2 rules and applied the filter, we see here that we're only going to take the sell signal, okay? And once again, someone would say, well, why would I take this sell signal? Because now it's already gone down. Look at this. It looks like it's made a reversal right here on this 4-hour bar. It's got a bullish engulfing pattern. And that guy in that chat room I go to says this is major support. So why would I sell after it's already gone down? Because remember, strategy number 2 now is only formatted to take signals with this filter in the strongest of markets. So look what happened. As we apply, we see that you could have potentially still captured 550 pips. And that's if you wanted to hold on longer. Let's say you only wanted to hold on to a brand new 10-bar closing low was made. Well, then you would have covered the very next day. Had you taken this signal, 1, 2 bars later, you could have covered with a nice profit. Here's an example in a weekly chart of gold. Now, here's an example where you didn't have to apply any process because the filter had already filtered everything out, and there were a number of other faulty trades. So all the trades you see right here, all the setups are the valid ones. And depending on where your risk parameters were, you still could have made 125 points coming in to the second week of March. This was in gold. How about the S&P? All right, now this is GSPC. This is the index, the S&P 500 index. And you can use this on indices too. You can use it on ETFs, or you're just looking at the straight index. We see here that we had a sell signal on the 8th of March. That was just about a week ago, telling us that the market most likely was going to head lower and most likely make a new 10-bar low. So someone looking at this would say, well, if the market's going to go lower, maybe, I'm not going to actually short the S&P. I'm not going to buy puts, or I'm not going to short the spiders or something, or buy a future. But maybe I was thinking about buying that stock. Maybe I'll hold off, or maybe if I am long something already, I'll exit. I have a nice profit. Maybe I'll get out. Maybe I'll sell half my position. Or maybe if I'm serious about staying long a particular stock, maybe I'll raise my stop level so that at least I'll be able to lock in profits if the market does go lower. But there's a number of ways in which you can use these setups. We can just apply them to indices altogether, and you can just base all of your trading based off if the index is in a buy or a sell signal. Now, in this case, it was generating a sell signal on the 8th of March. And look what happened. It fell 185 points. That was in 3 days coming into last week. Now, if you ask yourself, well, what's 185 points in the Dow? Well, that's comparable to 1,200 points in just 3 days. So this basically happened when all that banking crisis came out. Once again, I don't follow the news, so I really don't know. All I do is follow the market behavior and the setups. And the setup was telling me the market wanted to go lower. The setup doesn't know anything about the banks. It doesn't know anything about what's going on economically. It doesn't know anything what's going on about earnings. All it knows is what market behavior is telling us. And this is already pre-formatted in the proprietary method. So it told us that there was a high likelihood the market was going to make new lows here. And look what happened in 3 days. The Dow fell 1,200 points. So let's say you were long. You could have used this to protect yourself, or maybe said, you know what, I'm going to exit and hold on to some profits here because I think the market's going to go lower. Now, if you're still not convinced, let's look at a 10-minute chart of Tesla. This just happened a couple of days ago, all right? Now, this is the old strategy number 2 that we were looking at, all right? Look at all these sell signals, buy signals, sell signals, buy signals. This was on the 20th, which was this Monday, just 2 days ago. If you're an intraday trader and say you're trading Tesla, you'd have looked at this and said, this isn't doing me any good. How am I going to make money with this? I'm getting whipsawed here. This is why we didn't want to introduce this to the public, because we didn't feel confident about its consistency. But once we formulated this proprietary technique with the filter, guess what? It only generated one setup, and that was here, a buy signal right near the close. Now, if you were so inclined to hold overnight, well, this happened yesterday. You could have potentially captured 15 points in just 1 day. Now, I go to a lot of webinars myself. I like to see what other people are talking about. I like to see what methods they have or how they speak. And it really irks me when I see someone talk about a great signal that looked fantastic and it made dozens and dozens of points. And then you look at the date and it was like 6 months or even a year ago, okay? This is why at Specialist Trading, we always try to show you things that are very recent and current in the market to show you that this happens a lot. And we're not going to guarantee you that every setup is a winner, but we're just trying to show you that there are a lot of winners that are happening on a daily basis. So if you're an intraday trader and you were trading this with Tesla just yesterday, you could have potentially captured 15 points in 1 day. Now look at all of the other signals. Even if you didn't capture this one, you could have taken all of these setups, these valid setups, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars, and you 10-bar closing high, okay? How about here? 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, and you 10-bar closing high, okay? This one may have been, but let's say it isn't. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars, and you closing high, and so on. So this is the beauty of this particular method. It has a propensity to actually hit these new 10-bar closing highs, or if you're short, 10-bar closing lows. And on top of that, we've used a proprietary filter that only generates signals in the strongest of markets. Okay, so let's recap before we go into the question and answer portion. Remember, the strategy number 2 highlights. It's an entirely new strategy. It's designed to generate signals in only the strongest of markets. So if you're following a market, you may go for a while without any setups, because if the market is basically going sideways or just kind of in a whipsaw fashion, it won't be generating signals. But that's okay. It'll keep you out of these weak setups. Now, it does this by applying a proprietary filtering process. Now, the filtering process really encompasses a lot of the rules and requirements. And because we don't want this to get out, we're keeping the entire strategy in-house, meaning that it's just basically going to be getting the setups automatically on the platform. Now, it's designed to trade these quick 5 to 10 bar trades, as you just saw, because it has a really high probability of making a new 10 bar closing high within the next 5 to 10 bars. But if you want to stay in longer, we can show you how to do that in the course. Now, you can apply this to option trading. We know we have a lot of option traders that don't like to see their premium really decrease in amount because you're in a trade for too long. So if you're only in a trade for 5 to 10 days, this is ideal for option trading because it's not tying up a lot of money and you're not seeing your premium whittle in value. In the course, I will be teaching both an aggressive and a conservative version. The aggressive version is for traders who want to trade a lot and want to get in and out quickly. The conservative version is for people who want less risk and they don't mind waiting for those high probability setups. Lastly, remember, this is an extremely consistent method, but consistency is an awareness of losses. There will be losses from time to time. That's okay. But you just saw here, we showed you a number of winners, how they're able to recoup losses. That's what you want in any method. So regardless of what you're trading, you want a method that when it does go through some losses, that it's able to recoup those, because that will give you the confidence to continue trading that method and to continue to pull the trigger. This is what we mean by consistency. All right, so ask yourself, we're already in the 3rd month of 2023. Most likely, many of you, I would venture to say most of you in our class today are nowhere near where they thought they'd be in January, right? I'm sure in January you had all these hopes and dreams that you were going to be making so much a month and it was going to be easy. You had a brand new system and you had a brand new chat room you were going to, a trading room, or a brand new trading guru, and he was going to teach you all these great things and trading was going to be simple, right? Well, ask yourself, how's it working? We're already in March. We're going to be in April in just a week or so. How is it working for you? Do yourself a favor. Become a student of mine in the new strategy number 2. I really feel strongly that it can help your trading for the remainder of the year. Okay, for taking the time out of your day, I want to tell you about a great discount we have for you becoming one of the first to trade strategy number 2. This is our entirely new trading method special. Strategy number 2, it ventures to really turn things around because, as we said, we're so happy about this new filter we've applied, and we may use this on other methods as well. It only gives you the strongest of market signals, and weakest signals are actually filtered out. You're going to learn both aggressive and conservative version. You'll get the complete trading rules on how to trade it. You can also scan for daily setups. So if you're working or if you can't be in front of your computer all the time, you can come home at night and see what the setups are for the next day in just about any market, ETFs, the indices, futures, I believe, what's it called? Currency pairs, and crypto. Now, the average trade, once again, is short, 5 to 10 trading days. Now, if you're trading intraday, well, then that's 5 to 10 bars, regardless of what time frame you are. Makes it ideal for option trading, and also you'll get educational correspondence. Now, everything you saw here today was displayed using our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform. This is the educational platform that teaches you how to trade. Now, we're going to actually include as an extra bonus, if you become a student now in our early bird special, you will get a full 12 months free of the platform. So you'll be able to use the platform, which comes with a number of other techniques and methods that are included on that as well. You'll be able to use the scanner, which is on the platform. It'll probably take you less than 30 seconds to scan for the entire S&P 500 to see what the signals are for the next day. This is the beauty of using our platform, and you're going to get that for a full year for free. Okay, so let's break it down. What exactly is our new strategy number 2 breakdown in cost? All right, now we're going to regularly price this at $5,000, $49.95 to be exact, okay? But we're not going to charge you that today. We're going to give you two options, all right? The first option is to pay the early bird discount in total, which is $44.95. You're going to save $500 altogether, a 10% discount. But we realize not everyone can come up with $44.95. So if you want to take option number B, that means you'll have a payment plan. Now, with a payment plan, all you have to do is contact Pro Trader Strategies, and for a small discount, which you can negotiate and put together, formulate with them, you can still be up and running and in the first class, in the live class as well, okay? So for a small discount and then establish a monthly payment plan, you can still be in the course, and you'll still get, with both of these options, a full 12 months free of the platform. So some of our students like to say, listen, I don't need to take a monthly payment plan. I'll pay $44.95 and get that 10% discount. That's great. Others will say, I can't come up with $44.95 right now, but can I establish a small payment plan and just pay you on a monthly basis? Sure. You'll still get the full year of the platform, and you'll still be in the first class. Be one of the first to take advantage of this entirely new trading strategy. Take your trading to the next level. Please contact Pro Trader Strategies and become a student of mine in the Strategy Number 2 course. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. You can either email them at this email address right here. I would highly recommend giving them a call, though, at area code 310-598-6677. The trading consultants on the phones can put together a quote, and they can give you for a payment plan. They can answer any question concerning the data or concerning the actual platform. They're there to work with you. They're very flexible, and that's probably the easiest thing to do. And there's no obligation. They give you a quote, and you can sit on it for a while and come to terms and ask yourself if you really want to become a student. Now, as you see, the link below is the link that will take you to the info page. You can sign up there as well. It's not a live link, so we just posted a live link in the chat room. So if you go to the chat box, you see there in the link, just click that on. You'll see a live link there, and click that on, and it will take you to the info page. And I promised you we would reserve the last portion for any questions. So if you have any questions concerning the course, concerning Strategy Number 2, concerning how to trade it, without giving away too many of the things that I will be teaching in the course, now's your time to ask. Someone's asking, this is probably the most common question I get all the time. What do you mean by educational correspondence? Well, I wish it meant that I could actually fly out to each and every one of my students around the world and sit next to them and teach them exactly how to trade this and mentor them along the way. But unfortunately, since we have students in Europe, Asia, and in Canada and Mexico, and as well as the United States, I can't do that. So the next best thing is you all get my personal email address, and you can contact me whenever you like, be it the weekend, be it before the market opens, after the market. I answered a couple of emails this morning to students and prior to the opening of the market. And so it's just the best way in keeping in touch with me, and they come directly to me. They don't go to an assistant or to an intern. And so no one will see your questions other than me. And I like to answer them within the next 24 hours, okay? Many times I'll be able to answer them, if it's not a crazy day, within the next 5 or 10 minutes. So this is how you stay on top of things. You can always send me pictures or examples of stuff that doesn't make sense to you, okay? Someone's asking, can we also apply this to commodities? Yes, you can. Now, in order to get the commodity data, I would first contact Pro Trader Strategies. I know a lot of traders, when they feel the markets are a little bit too volatile or they don't feel comfortable with them, they like to trade commodities. I used to trade commodities for a while, and commodities are great because they are some of the best trending markets. And when they trend, they are tremendously strong markets, going either straight up or straight down. If you ever looked at a coffee chart, you'll see what I mean here. Now, guess what? Remember, Strategy Number 2 is only designed to trade the strongest of markets. So it doesn't realize or know if it's looking at a bank stock or if it's looking at sugar. It has no idea if it's looking at crude oil or if it's looking at IBM. So Strategy Number 2 can be applied to all markets and all time frames. So yes, I believe that answers your question. But in terms of which data you want to apply to, I would contact Pro Trader Strategies, and they can tell you what data is available. Okay, that's a good question. Any other questions? Let me open up this question and answer box here. Okay, someone is asking me about the classes. Yes, we haven't decided on when the first class will be. Usually the classes are about a month after we give the first presentation. So this is the first presentation we've given on strategy number 2. And so we like to give people enough time to think it over and to look at the videos. I'll be giving probably one more strategy number 2 educational webinar. But the classes fill up quickly. We don't want them to be too big. If a couple of times they've gotten too large. And so we've had to keep some people out. And what they do is they just become students of the course without being able to be in the free live class. So if you're in the free live class, someone's asking me when they start, probably within the next month or so. And someone's also asking me, how long are they? They run, all of our classes, our live course classes run anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. And they're all live and they're pretty intimate because we don't want to have these for 50 to 100 people. It just doesn't make it intimate. Sometimes people are afraid to ask questions. So we like to keep them to a smaller size. And then if there are more students wanting to join, they just get the online course, okay? So yes, it'll probably be within a month, and the class is roughly 1 hour to 2 hours. And yes, it is recorded. So if you can't make the class, it is recorded, okay? What day? Someone's asking, what day is it? Well, usually they're on Friday at the end of the week. So that way we can go over recent examples, and then you'll have the whole weekend to decide for yourself how you'd like to, learn how to trade this. But it's up to, a vote. If we have enough people that say, listen, we'd like to have it on a weekend, or we'd like to have it on a Monday morning before the market opening, sure, we'll do that. As long as it's for the majority of the traders and it meets everybody's requirements, that's fine. We're very flexible with that, okay? Good questions. Strategy 2, can it work on all markets? Yes, it can. It works on all markets and on all time frames. We're really excited about this because, as you saw, what we were working on before did have an edge, but unfortunately the edge sometimes got in its own way and it produced too many signals. And on top of that, it would sometimes go haywire and give faulty setups. Once we discovered this proprietary filter, then everything opened up and we see, wow, this is really a strong edge, maybe stronger than we've seen before. On top of that, because the filter is so aligned with the rules, we wanted to keep it a proprietary because we may also just sidestep this and have the filter as a course in and of itself in the future. But for right now, we're just using it for strategy number 2. Okay. Okay, good questions. If there are no further ones, remember, please, if you have any questions, contact Pro Trader Strategies at 310-598-6677. The trading consultants would be happy to answer any of your questions concerning price, concerning putting together a payment plan. They would be more than happy to give you a quote. Remember, they're very flexible. There's no obligation to purchase anything. They're there to work with you, and they can answer any questions that you may have about data or about tech support with the platform, okay? As we close, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I really hope you see how excited we are about finally being able to introduce strategy number 2 to the public. We've been working on this a long time. And as you take one last look at our disclaimer, I just once again want to thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. But most especially, I really look forward to all of you becoming students of ours in the strategy number 2 course. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.